Okay, so I put this flow chart together to hopefully help make sense of the whole strength training journey and to help bring some perspective to this whole process. Okay, so the first reason why I wanted to do this is to help make sure that you have realistic expectations for yourself. Because if you set unrealistic expectations, ultimately you're going to set yourself up for failure because you're going to get frustrated and want to quit. Okay, so now the analogy I like to use, you may have heard me say this before, is I like to compare strength training to learning a new skill, such as playing the piano or doing a martial art, right? So if you would imagine yourself in either one of those scenarios, playing the piano or joining like a karate class, your expectations getting started would not be very high, right? So you would walk into those lessons understanding that this is going to take me a long time to get good at what I'm trying to do, right? So using the piano as an example, after my first week or even a month of piano lessons, I'm not going to be expecting to be able to do anything too fancy, right? I may expect to play a couple of basic notes or keys without looking at the keyboard, possibly, right? But again, relatively speaking, my expectations are going to be low. But for some reason, with strength training and fitness, people walk into the game having high expectations, like they're going to be playing Mozart after a month of piano lessons, right? And that's just not realistic. And so you have to have the right mindset going in, not only to save yourself from setting yourself up for unrealistic expectations, but saving yourself from getting frustrated from not really understanding why those results aren't happening. And the simple answer is that it just takes time, right? So I've got this little flow chart for you to help kind of make sense of the whole process, right? So the first step is you're just getting started, and the whole goal when you get started with a new fitness routine is literally just to build a new habit of showing up to the gym consistently. It really doesn't matter what you do when you get there in terms of the intensity level that you work at. If you show up and literally just go through the motions, perfect. That's all that really matters, is you showing up and making that a part of your new routine. I don't think people give themselves enough credit for adding that to your daily life, right? That's a big deal to add, adding something that takes an hour out of your day, 2 to 3 or more days per week. That's a big deal, right? So understand and manage success and your expectations there, that showing up consistently is your goal. You actually do not want to go at an intensity level higher than 50 to 70% getting started. That honestly is just going to be a place where you could potentially hurt yourself. So that's just not necessary at all. Remember, the goal is just to learn and get comfortable with all the different exercises, the people, the coaches. There's a lot of new things. So just get comfortable with the whole process. Okay. Now, let's say you've been consistent for 3 to 6 weeks, ultimately, probably closer to 6 weeks, where you've come 2 to 3, potentially more times per week over that time. At that point, you can start to think about increasing the difficulty level to the 70 to 80% range. Okay, and what I mean by that is when you finish a set of an exercise, let's say we're asking you to do 10 repetitions of that movement. Let's say you're doing squats, right? Now, what that means is by the time you get to your 10th rep of squats, you should feel like it's 70 to 80% difficult, or it's a 7 or 8 out of 10 in terms of how hard it was for you to finish all 10 reps. If you get to your 10th rep and it was only a 5 out of 10, that means you're only at a 50% difficulty level. And while there's nothing wrong with that, it's great that you're moving. In order to get the benefit from strength training, the ultimate goal is to get you to the 80 to 90% range. But at this point, again, in the journey, we just want you to be able to get comfortable getting to that 70 to 80% range. Okay, I hope that makes sense. The next step, okay, the third step is once you've become consistent 3 months, right? So 3 months of consistency. This doesn't mean this is month three, right? Because this journey has ups and downs and all sorts of obstacles in the way, right? So your 3 months of consistency might not come until 6 months into this process. So that's another good thing to be mindful of as well. Things are going to happen, and that's okay. But once you've been consistent for 3 months, your goal then, and not only consistent, but you have to be consistent, confident, and comfortable with the exercises that you're doing. With those exercises, your goal is to increase the difficulty level to 80 to 90%. So odds are after 3 months of consistency, you're going to feel comfortable, confident with those movements. If you don't increase the weight, right? Because if you're not comfortable and confident, then odds are you could potentially hurt yourself, and we never want that to happen. But if you do feel comfortable and confident with the movement, start working up to that 80 to 90% difficulty level, because after becoming consistent, which is the next step here, the fourth phase of the strength training journey, after 6 weeks of 90% effort, okay, this is where we're going to start to see the improvement in strength and muscle, right? So we need to be able to get comfortable being uncomfortable at that 9 out of 10 in terms of difficulty range, okay? And another way to think about that is you should only be able to do one or two more additional good looking reps after you stop, right? You should only feel like, oh man, I could have only done one, maybe two more, right? So again, if you're only at 50% difficulty level, again, there's nothing wrong with staying consistent with that. It's still good for you. But if you really want to see the results from the strength training, we need to get you to that 90% effort level, okay? Now, the fifth step here, and this is the kind of the ongoing part of this journey, is to constantly be refining your technique, improving mobility. Could have even added, finding corrective exercises that you enjoy that help you just feel better, right? So, because the better your technique and the better your mobility is, the better results you're going to ultimately get, right? So, this whole process takes a lot of time. I've been strength training myself for over 20 years. Ask any talented piano player or martial artist, they've been practicing for a long, long time. So we need to have realistic expectations, not only for the best results, but for your mental sanity as you go through this process as well. Because setting yourself up with the right mindset from the beginning is going to ultimately help set you up for success. So I hope this is helpful. If you need any help, if you have any questions on this, please don't hesitate to reach out. Otherwise, we will see you in the gym soon.